I think the biggest mistake that we make is that we just ask AI, hey, rewrite this listing description for me. You can tell that when someone uses AI versus when they don't. People are forced to have personalities, to differentiate themselves.
I thought Google and ChatGPT or AI was making us stupid because you don't have to think anymore. You can get answers to everything. But what you're demonstrating, what you're sharing here is it's actually making us smarter.
Welcome to Signature Buzz, your fast-paced weekly real estate sales meeting.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Signature Buzz, where we cut through the noise and dive into conversation shaping the future of real estate. I'm Brandon Roberts here with my co-host, Chris Bishop. And today, we got a powerhouse guest joining us. We're excited to welcome Vandana Bala, one of our corporate brokers here at Signature Real Estate Group, licensed both in California and Nevada. And today, we're diving into a topic that's on everyone's mind and maybe even keeping a few people up late at night: artificial intelligence, or AI, in real estate. Is AI the disruptor, the partner, or the secret weapon for agents who want to stay ahead? We're going to unpack all of this with Vandana's perspective from working across 2 states, plus being a broker and an agent, and maybe a little back and forth debate along the way. So buckle up, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, let's dive right in. AI has gone from being this sci-fi buzzword to something every agent is hearing about daily, whether it's ChatGPT, writing listing descriptions, predictive analytics, or for lead generation, or automation in transaction management. It's no longer if it's coming to real estate, it's already here. The big question is, how do we use it instead of fearing it? Vandana, you're both a broker and an agent, and you've got a dual perspective on how agents are adapting. What's the very first way you've seen AI start showing up in your business and in agents' workflows?
Okay, so I want to actually just, if you don't mind, take away the AI is something that's going to take over our lives myth right now. I think one of the biggest problems that I hear when I'm teaching these classes is that AI is going to take over. We're not going to be relevant anymore because AI is going to be doing all the work for us, blah, blah, blah. I think what I want to remind people of is that, if you're using Google Maps, that's AI, right? If you're using, something simple as ChatGPT or CapCut or one of these other tools that you utilize in your business, that's all AI. Everything that you do almost on a daily basis, if you talk to Siri or you talk to Google Home or it's all AI, right? It's nonstop. So how I'm seeing it, what I remember first hearing about AI back in January. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. But I remember hearing about AI back in January of 2023. That was the first time I ever had a glimpse of it. Somebody told me about it about ChatGPT specifically, and I thought, you know what, that sounds absolutely insane. That doesn't sound normal. I had the same mental thought of this is going to take over human beings. If I don't use it, nobody else is going to use it. And therefore it's not going to be part of our lives. And the reality was that it became part of everyone's life. And so I went in August of 2023, I went to another AI class with a bunch of my friends, and they were like, come to this thing and, just check it out. And I'm like, fine. So I went, and if you know anything about me, it's when I like something or I want to learn about it, I just go all in, right? So how you do anything is how you do everything. And so that's my motto. And I heard about ChatGPT. I saw it in action. I heard about Spark camera app. I saw it in action. I heard about my talking avatar. I saw it in action. And I was like, wait a second, this stuff isn't just hype. This isn't going to go away. It's actually going to start being a part of my day-to-day if I can really utilize it. And it wasn't until about a year later, so last year, when I really started, I went to everybody who talked AI. I'm like, hey, let's go geek out, right? And I would go for coffee and do geek out sessions with people and just learn. And the first place that I utilized it was for my CE classes. one of the biggest struggles that I've been having is that I teach a lot of CE classes on like in person, and I only like them in person. I don't like teaching them on Zoom. I don't like teaching them anywhere. It's like in person because that's where I get feel my energy from. And I wanted to start putting them online because I was sitting on a beach in Panama City, Panama. And while I was sitting on a beach, I'm like, how do I do this more often? And the reality is that, yes, I need more property management accounts, and that's probably one of the ways. But another way is to take my CE classes and start putting them online so I don't physically have to be in a room anymore. And I was at one of these geek out sessions at coffee with a friend of mine, and he said to me, he's like, what is it that you're having the biggest time suck right now in your life? I'm like, writing the CE class for online. I mean, I've already written the class. I've got the PowerPoint presentation ready to go. I've already created it. I teach it all the time, but putting it online is like a whole different beast because I'm writing a brand new class. And he was just like, okay, let's take that and let's put it through ChatGPT. And I did. And he showed me a couple of prompts and the way to manage it. And that it blew my mind. In 45 minutes, mind you, 45 minutes, I took this 3-hour CE class and put it online. And then I had my first class approved. It just blew my mind. So then I was like, well, how do you take AI and now utilize it in a way? So I think the biggest mistake that we make is that we just ask AI, hey, rewrite this listing description for me. And so and that's where I'm hearing. So when I teach my CE class and I say, what are you using AI for? They're like, ChatGPT to write my listing descriptions. I said, great, give me a listing description that you just had and tell me what the prompt was for ChatGPT. And it was, rewrite this listing description. And then, they stuck in the information about the property and then let ChatGPT do its thing. And I'm like, what if I told you that there was actually a formula that you could use for AI that would then turn whatever prompt that you're putting into it? Because no matter what you do in life, like if I said to you, hey, Chris, Brandon, go create a CMA for me. Go do a CMA, right? What questions do you have for me right now?
I charge for that.
Okay. But what questions do you have for me right now?
How much
if
are you
I say,
willing
go
to
do a
pay?
CMA, huh?
How much are you willing to pay?
Listen, okay. Well, you want
She's trying to use a real life example
I'm
here.
giving you a real life scenario, right?
No,
So
absolutely.
if I say, go create a CMA for me, you're going to want to know what the property is. What's the property address? Were there any upgrades that were made? Is there anything that's been done to the property from the time that it was first listed? What details do you love about the property as a seller? What details do you hate? Like, you're going to need some information. Is a lot bigger or AI is the same thing. You have to give it information. You have to give it input in order to get the best output. Right. And the more information you provide it, the better off it's going to be. And I know that every time I teach my CE class, the AI class, which by the way, if I was to write it today, they wouldn't approve it. But because they approved it, I have to just continually renew it. Otherwise, because it's more technical. Like it's more like, here's the apps and here's how to use them. And they want it to be more about like, law or legislation or ethics or whatever. So now I've brought in some of the ethics stuff and like, hey, how can AI make sure that, you stay on point? Things like that is the prompts that I've been teaching agents how to do. But like the more information you provide it, the better output you're going to get. And that's where you shine. During my 3-hour CE classes, I teach agents a bunch of stuff, right? We probably have, and me, like I do, like, I'm like, here's all the information. And I like practically vomit the AI stuff on them. And then I'm like, at the end, do one thing. Don't take all of it. What resonated with you? What was the one thing you really liked about this class? And what are you going to do now? And so, we go around the room and everybody says, okay, I'm going to try this more. I'm going to do this more. I'm going to try this. And that, right. It's just shifting your mindset around. I know you asked one question and here I am on a complete tangent.
I was just going to say, so like,
do you want to ask anything else?
you were talking about vomiting the information. And I don't get it. I don't see where you get that from.
Because I'm so passionate about this. I love it. Like it's pretty cool. But go ahead, ask me a question.
No, and that comes across. I mean, the excitement from it, and there's so much. Like so many people have just started with chat, right? And me and Chat are on a first name basis now. Dropped the PT, but and that's where kind of I am. But I'm finding that like writing classes, writing trainings, all that kind of stuff, it speeds everything up, right? And it's making me a better writer, even replying to emails and stuff. And you can't just say reply to this email, but if you say reply to this email using this and you put in your thoughts, then it creates more of a authentic email. So I see what you're saying there. What, like somebody's starting out, like what basic step, where should they start? Like before you get into all this, because there's a ton of tools.
Before you ask her that, I want to go back to something that she said, and that's the phobia around AI. And I want to remind everyone on this call that 28 years ago, we all watched a movie called Terminator Judgment Day. Do you remember that movie? I remember when it came out. I remember the conversation around it. I remember the term Skynet. Skynet went live actually August 28th, 1997, right? That was 28 years ago. And everyone had this perspective that as soon as technology got good enough, it was going to kill us all off. Because as kids, we went through watching that movie and the things that we thought, oh my God, that's crazy. I noticed that people my age and younger or older within that age bracket, they think about AI as Skynet, like it's going to kill us off as soon as it gets there. When you said phobia, like I talk to people right now that have a phobia about using AI because they don't want it to learn about them. I mean, everything about you is already online. I mean, what can't I learn anymore by putting a few prompts into anything and popping it out? Do you think that plays into it psychologically?
Of course. Yeah, of course. I think that I think media has caused people to fear a lot of stuff. I mean, look at what's happening now in our industry, right? You've got interest rates that are high, but really they're not that high. Like if you think about it, they're lowest they've been in 2025 right now. Like people should be buying houses. Homes prices aren't going to be like it's how the media spins things. And so obviously watching movies about how AI has taken over people's lives is scary, right? Nobody wants that, but or maybe
I didn't want to cut you off, Brandon, but I wanted to make that point because the other thing that drives me crazy is that if I go to an attorney and I say, hey, I have this issue. If you remember the attorneys we've been through at LVR, they give you a dissertation that lasts for days. Like I didn't ask all of that. I just want a few. Yeah, I want a few facts. And what I love about AI is that if I put in a question and say, hey, I have this lump on my arm, what do you think it is? It spits out a few facts. The other ones say, you better go get that checked out. But it doesn't give me this 35-page dissertation that I didn't ask for. And I think that everything I notice now is like if I go into Google, before it gives you Google pages and facts, it has AI overview. Like it answered the question I had and gave me quick information. I think that's what's changed the way I feel about it because I'm like, damn, that's what I wanted to know. And it answered the question. Finally, somebody will answer my question instead of it depends.
So what's the question?
So,
whatever I come up with.
What's really cool about AI, which I think, so like for a really long time, we've taken social media and now we've got these people that we want to be like on social media. And so everybody tries to emulate these same people. What AI is doing is leveling the playing field so that everybody has almost similar personalities because AI exists, right? Yeah. You can tell that when someone uses AI versus when they don't. So the reality now is that people are forced to have personalities to differentiate themselves. Like, let that sink in for a second, because AI is leveling the playing field. Like I can tell, I mean, no offense here, but I can tell, Brandon, when you've written me an AI email. I can tell, Chris, when you've written me an AI email, right? So like your personality has to show through AI a little bit in order for you to be different, which I think is really cool because it's forcing people to actually, be themselves pre all of this stuff, which is cool.
But I think the other part is like, I remember third grade book reports, right? When you show up to class and you didn't do your book report the night before, I know that wasn't you, Bonin, because you would have done it 3 days before. I would always take the back of the book and just read the back of it and say, okay, I can do this. And I'd write that thing out and I'd get a bad grade. AI has now become that back of the book report for me, because if I have a piece of paper, like say I get a 30-page thing to review, I can put it in AI and say, give me the hot point items I need to know immediately about this page. And it spits out quick facts that I need to know before I jump into something or read it. I never had anything like that before that really gave you real info that it could process that fast. I use that.
I'm going to blow your mind in a minute because there is actually an AI that takes books and you can put them into Notebook LM and have it create, based off of a personality, a podcast that you can now listen to for 30 minutes while you're driving and listen to the entire book and the main facts of it. I mean, the things that I've learned to do over the last, even the last 90 days are mind blowing to me. Like I'm just saying, like I was sitting there, I learned a new AI tool called Text Blaze. I learned a new one called Promptimize. I mean, there's so many AIs that are available that are helping you be better at using AI, which is kind of cool. But I know, Brandon, you had a thought about what I had said about people having personalities and forcing them to be themselves.
Yeah. Two things. First of all, you can't tell when I send you an AI email because I take out the dashes.
I can though.
But I don't send you emails. That's the thing. So, but you're right. And so for me, AI is, if you use it as a time saver to help you with a lot of stuff, to free up your ability to have personal contact with people, because that's where your personality comes in. Stop hiding behind technology. And I think so many people today hide behind text, email, and all those other things. So if you use that to become more efficient and you could actually spend more time with people, would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where AI is really helping me in my business, right? So I'll give you a couple of really good examples, but let me start. Can we put a pin in the examples right now? And then I want to answer your question prior to this discussion, which was
Where do they start?
Where do they start? Yeah. So the very first thing that agents should be doing is if they're using ChatGPT at all, the first thing they need to do is go into their settings, and in the settings, actually create a personality, who you are, put your voice in there, so that AI can learn a little bit about how you speak. Because when it learns, if you put your voice into the AI, which you can speak into ChatGPT, and you answer a question, for instance, in ChatGPT about how you would actually answer it, now it's learning who you are and how you respond to things. That's going to be the number one key, again, to differentiate you from like the standard AI conversation that the spit out or the output that it's giving you. So that's first. And then I also add in there like, hey, remove the M dashes. And I actually, so in this new thing that I learned, it's called Text Blaze. And I actually, when I add in here different like little segments, so I can put /EM, which means remove M dashes, I can actually just put /EM, and I have an entire prompt that's prepared already, ready to go. It's an extension on my computer, and it automatically says, hey, no more M dashes. Here's a couple of examples of how I want you to say it and how I don't want you to say it. Because it is hardwired in the system in ChatGPT to spit out M dashes. Even when you say don't do M dashes, it'll do it after like the second or third prompt. So those are the two things. It's like create settings, right? Set up your voice and who you are first and foremost. The second thing that you should do is the prompt here would be, I'm about to give you I'm about to give you some tasks to create some social media content, branding content, as well as marketing for my business. Ask me 20 questions that you need to know about me and my business, my mission statement, so on and so forth, that will help you create this type of stuff for me in the future. And what you're doing is now, and you make sure you add, please ask these questions one at a time. Otherwise, it'll ask you all 20, and then you'll have to respond to all. So it'll ask you one at a time. So when you do that, it'll ask the very first question, tell me a little bit about your business, who you are, what's your title, something like that. Then you can answer that. When you're done answering that, it goes to the next question. Then you're done answering that, it goes to the next question. It'll go through about 20. And I always tell agents it's going to take about an hour or an hour and a half for you to really do it. Because if it takes you less than that, you didn't do it right. So you want to make sure you provide it with it. And it's an initial setup. If you do that on the onset of, and even if you already have ChatGPT and you've never done it, do it now, because it will have all the information. I actually was applying for a position for something, and it had all of my details. Like I put my bio in there. It asked me for my bio. I put my bio in there, what I've already created. I told it where to find information about me. And so it's got all of that. And when I do deep research, it can deep research all of my stuff.
Yeah.
So I've provided it all the information, and I actually created this application. I just wrote, answer this question for me. Boom. Like I'm going to give you 15 questions, answer them. So I gave it the question, and then it answered it in my tone, the way that I would normally say it. And I just stuck it in the application. Boom, boom, boom. Like it was one at a time. And then it's insane. how accurate that can be once you've set it up on the onset, so that you don't have to worry about it again.
The key is you put the work in ahead of time.
Yeah, that's the first thing to do.
One of the things that's interesting about what you said, because I didn't get this until Brandon kind of told it to me, showed me on a prompt. But now I tell it, like, everything that I want to search. Like, I watched him make a recipe the other day, and he asked chat to tell him how to make this and went through it. And then, it kind of gives you that process. But now anything I would have put in Google, I put in the chat first and say, I have an interest in this. Please archive that interest. Like, I want to know about this. Please archive that information. And I've started to tell it to archive things. Like you said, I shared with it bio, my photo, all of that stuff. I've started to this is weird. I've started to talk to it about things like, this is something I really want to do more with. Can you remind me later on and use it in other prompts? And it starts archiving that information within my profile or wherever it goes. That's the other thing, wherever it goes. And now it's brought things back up in other things I'm doing. Do you want me to put that as part of this? And the fact that it remembered, I can't remember that, but I've started to use it for that purpose so that it will do that. It's almost like making a self-aware soul of yourself. Like, it has that piece of you that you want to use for all the things you need to create. And it's incredible that you can do it. Random articles, like the articles that you send or articles I find, I drop it into chat and say, please archive this and use it in future reports. Like, it does.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So going back to the examples now. So one of the ways that I've been utilizing it is I will actually take the data from the MLS. I will load it into specific, let's say, I just had a property that closed, and we had to do quite a few price reductions in order to get it closed. And that's always one of the hardest conversations to have with a client. Now, I don't really get scared about a lot of conversations. I really don't, right? But it was a very professional yet straightforward way of saying, here's what the numbers are, here's what the market's doing, because it has all that. I've provided it with my blogs, I've provided it with my data, I've provided it with all of the scripts for the videos that I've created. And the reason I do that is because the more information I put into Chat GPT, so it's like you had said, Chris, it's like Google, right? So what's happening is the more information I feed into Chat GPT, it now is learning about me, and it's actually saying that I am the resource for this specific thing, meaning I am the real estate agent. So it's better than Google. I don't have to pay to get my name, because ChatGPT is now referring people. So if you put in who do you recommend to sell my home in Las Vegas? I am, selling another house, or I'm doing this. And if there's any keywords that are similar to a video or something that I've created, it's going to send it to me. It's going to say, here's who you need to contact, because here's the person that's actually the expert in this field, who has done this before, who has written or done videos about it, so on and so forth. So that's one of the ways. So I did use it for price reduction, where I had conversations. I dumped all of the actual data for what's happening in the community, what's happening within a 1 mile radius, and then also what's happening nationally. And so it has all of that information. Again, like you said, archive it for future use. So now all I do is say, hey, this is the home. Here's the tax record. Here's the current market condition, and here's what I'm struggling with. I need you to write an email to my client convincing them to lower the price, and here's my recommended price reduction. I kid you not, it was written better than I could ever talk about it, and that was what I utilized. I hope my client's not listening, but that's what I used, was because it made it a lot easier. Now, another way that I've utilized it, there is in Canva. So when you're a content creator, so now that I'm like really into the AI and I'm geeked out on AI, I use Canva and ChatGPT and all of these other things. Well, they give you special offerings. Canva gave me a special offering about a couple of months ago that and it's like a weird thing. You almost have to know about it in order to get access to it. They were, on the initial banner, click 5 times. And so I clicked 5 times and it opened up an app. Like, now I can create apps right on Canva. So like, for instance, just to give you a simple thing, right? We had in one of my classes when I first got it and I started playing around with it, right after that, I taught an AI class, and one of the agents, I said, hey, let's create an app for you, right? And I said, what's the thing that you're struggling with right now the most? And it's not even her. Like I talked to my team yesterday, at the team meeting, and one of the guys was like, yeah, I'm having a problem trying to figure out who to call, when to call, how to stay in touch with my clients. Great. How many clients do you have? And so this was how I went down in the class, is how I went down with the question. So how many clients do you have? 200. You're having struggle contacting them. Great. What methods do you want? Right? Text, email, phone calls, face-to-face. Great. Sounds great. Okay. You have 200 clients, and how often do you want to contact them in the course of a year? I want to contact them at least once a quarter. So that's 4 times a year per client, 200 clients. Great. Here's what we're going to do. Do you have your client database, your actual Excel document that has their name, their phone number, their email address, and their phone number, email address, and home address? Yeah, great. So now what I'm doing is I've put in that information, the details, and I said, create an app for me within Canva. Create an app for me that tells me what form of communication to use and when to contact my client. Put it in a calendar for a full year. And so I let it go. I basically gave it the prompt. I let it go. And then I moved on to something else. And I said, we're just going to let this. And literally, as I was teaching the class, you could see in the background as I'm teaching other things that like Canva was actually writing the code to create the app. And so we did that. And then, I said, okay, everybody go on break. When you come back from break, the app should be ready. It took about 10, 15 minutes. The app was ready when they came back, and I showed them. Then I created it, put it on a website. And now what they can do is load up their entire database onto their own website, which is an app, which they can put in their phone if they really want to, right? Because it's a website. You can put it as on your homepage. And now they have access. It can do push notifications that tells them when to call, who to call, and what form of method to use: call, phone, email, home address, whatever. So that was another way that we utilized it. And so what I did is I took a lot of these little things that I'm learning as I'm learning them, because here's the other thing: AI changes all the time, right? I really, really got how to use 4.0, and now it's 5. Like, I really understood how to use Canva, and then they added this extra feature. And so it's continuously changing. Now there's an agent mode within ChatGPT that I'm goofing around with, right? So it's constantly changing, and I'm trying to keep up with it. But there's still some of like the baseline things: how to create prompts, what prompts to use. I actually created an ebook called "Automate the Hustle," and that's going to be a whole coaching program around how to actually automate everything that you do. So not without, so that you can do face-to-face communication, similar to what you were talking about earlier, Brandon, is that the point is that we go and do what AI can't do, which is having the one-on-one, face-to-face, belly-to-belly conversations with your clients, drinking coffee. AI cannot drink coffee. AI cannot have coffee with your clients. It just can't, right? I mean, yeah, but what I'm saying, like, that's got to be something that you do. And that's where it's allowing us to really spend more time, engaging with our clients and doing more one-on-one type things. And then I've even taught my assistant how to do some of this stuff, and she's managing a lot of my stuff using the AI tools that I've taught her.
When you say it's learning, like, I feel like, in my perspective, when I first jumped on the ChatGPT, it was only about 8 months ago, by the way. I thought, this is dumb. Like, why am I wasting my time? Agents who are lazy go on and have chat write their descriptions. Like, I had that mindset. And then I was like, I had to write a description for one of my listings. I'm like, crap, right? 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,000 square feet. Call me. So I go into chat, and I rudimentary said, here's what I'm going to put. Give me a better description. I'm reading this thing. I'm like, crap, I sound like Shakespeare, right? And then I made some tweaks and stuff on it. But when I started, it was like I was talking to a toddler, like a smart toddler. And now it's like I'm talking to a teenager, because 8 months of time, and I paid for the upgrade. I mean, it's like things like that. It now is prompting me with things that I never asked it before, and it's learning. And so it seems like it's evolving. My AI part, my chat, is evolving as it's learned, and it's become an even better asset. And so, like, I forget the guy that was 8 months ago and think, well, how do I ever live without it? Like, to Brandon's point, every email I write, I put into ChatGPT if I can, like if it's something big, and I say, how would you write this in my wording? And it gives me a prompt, and then I critique it. And it gives me a prompt, I critique it, and I come out like, you were the person that wrote all my great emails, so it did put you out of work. But the whole point was, it's just another asset that makes it even better, and it's helped me evolve. I really think that's what it is.
Yeah. So what I will say is that, first of all, there's a book out that you can read that really teaches you about the mindset around AI. It's
I thought I didn't have to read anymore.
You don't have to if you don't want to, but it's called The AI Driven Leader. It's by Jeff Woods, and it's absolutely phenomenal. But it really teaches you how to utilize AI in a way that like you wouldn't even think about. So like Jeff Woods was hired by a pretty big company to to help with their AI systems. And what he did was he created essentially a CEO, a CFO, so a fractional CFO, a COO within utilizing AI. And so it created AI as the board of directors for this company. And the mindset, the shift for mindset on that is just, it's next level. But the 7 things, so I think where we miss the mark. So when you say, hey, make this sound better for me, this 3-bedroom, 2-bath, blah, 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 right? Make me sound good. Yes, you're probably getting Shakespeare type answers or like you're, a teenager. But if you provide it with 7 things, and this is like the 7 things that I teach across the board, if you utilize these 7 things in your prompt, it's going to be so much better. Now, every single time, what I did was I told my ChatGPT in the settings, hey, act like a sparring partner with me, meaning remove all the assumptions that you think I have. Tell me what those assumptions are, and then let's fight those together so that you can get me to 99.9% to where I need to be, right? Or what I'm actually asking for. So every time I ask it something, and sometimes it's annoying because I'm like, just give me a freaking answer. Like, I don't want you to sit here and ask me a bunch of questions and tell me what my assumptions were. Just give me an answer. I want to break up with this guy and tell me how to do it, right? So like, I don't need you to ask me a bunch of questions. But like the 7 things that I always tell everybody to do is, number 1, describe the task. What is it? Clearly outline the task that you want the AI to accomplish, right? It's specific target. And I'm going to read this so I don't mess it up, but like the guides, it'll guide the AI to what you're actually looking for. Okay. Number 2, you're going to give it some context. You're going to provide some background information that's relevant to the task. It's going to help AI. So when I say, hey, go give me a CMA, right? I'm also going to add these 7 things. So the CMA is the task. That's what I want it to do, is a comparable market analysis. And then I'm providing it with context, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, blah, blah, right? I'm going to assign a persona to it, meaning who is AI going to act like? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be a marketing genius? Is it going to be a luxury marketing genius? Is it going to be somebody who, give it a person, a persona, or someone. You can even tell it like, hey, I want you to act like Ben Hardy on this specific task and act like how Ben Hardy, that was one of the other ways that I used it is, I know I'm going on a tangent because I love this.
Have we got to question 2 yet?
No. So, so one of the other ways that I used it was I actually had to negotiate with someone on a specific way. And, I've read the book on negotiation, right? Chris Voss, have you guys ever read?
Never split the difference.
Never split the difference. And so there's a few strategies that Chris Voss utilizes in Never Split the Difference. And so in this negotiation tactic, the persona that I assigned it was Chris Voss utilizing a specific type of negotiation tactic. And it was perfection the way that it came out. And it just makes me sound better instead of like, go to hell. It makes me actually sound much better with whatever it's putting out. So you
tactical empathy.
Yeah. So you provide it with some details and you say, here's the persona that I want you to have. Then you explain why. So when asking AI, you have to give it like it has to be your thought partner, right? Generate to ask and explain why you're wanting this task done. I think this is where a lot of people forget is, hey, I want you to explain exactly why you want this. Do you want it for an MLS description for the MLS? Do you want it to be used on Zillow? Do you want it to be used on social media for Instagram or TikTok? Because they're very different platforms that then engage with very different audiences. So what happens is if you're using the exact same context or the exact same caption in every single one of your social media posts, what you're doing is you're not paying attention to who the actual audience is, right? So you want to give it some of that information. You want to give it the limits. So what are the limits that you want to set? So when you do listing and descriptions, for instance, you want to remind it, do not break any federal or Nevada state fair housing laws. Because a lot of times it'll say it's walking distance from blah, 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 right? And you're like, no, that's actually a fair housing violation. So you want to give it that information.
I want to ask a question. Ask a question.
Yeah.
This is not a regular question, an independent question. So I've noticed it's lied. Like it's lied and given me laws that don't exist. I asked it, I was writing a C class and I said, give me an NRS statute that supports this. And it lied to me. Do you have to tell it not to lie to me?
No, you don't tell it not to lie to you. What you do is you actually provide it with the statute, right? So when you give it the context and you give it the task, you give it that information. And once you do that, then it has it. So like when I write my C classes, I go into NRS 645 and I say, here's what I'm actually asking you to use. And then rewrite this and create questions for me that help people understand what this actually states, right, for the class in order to make sure that they're engaging. And so I give it that information. Now it has it. It has it stored in there. So when I tell it, here's federal and state fair housing laws, it has it. What I want, and on that note, Chris, what I want to remind you is that AI was created to actually provide you with answers. And sometimes those answers are bullshit.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you ask it, like, hey, tell me where you found this, it will give you a website. When you click on it, guess what? That's also bullshit. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but here I am. So you have to like ask sometimes, like even for my C classes, when I uploaded my my PowerPoint presentation into it and it gave me, the 3-hour online course, I said, can you please tell me where you got this information? And it referenced back to my actual PowerPoint, the page number, the section number, the information. I was like, great, now I know that it's legit because that's where it's coming from. If it gave me some website that I never provided it, I know it's BS. I know that I have to now, and here's the other thing with AI is that you have to be the one that actually looks at the final output before it goes out. You have to be the one that reviews it. And that's where AI isn't going to take over because it doesn't know to do that, right? Otherwise it will, like you said, lie to you.
And I'm sorry to interrupt your thought process, but I mean, it was one of the things that bugged me a lot because you're right. When I click back to the site, it would be an unreputable site that it just pulled from wherever it got it, from Google or whatever else. And when you're like, I would say, interpret this law, until I specifically asked it what the law said and does it really apply? It was like, no, it doesn't really apply, but we saw this word in it, so we thought maybe we'd include it. And so it kind of threw me. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't think I had to go that low level, but I guess I do, until it's ready.
So the trick now is that when you're doing something like that and you want it to reference online, you actually do deep research. It takes a little bit more time. But with the deep research, what it does is it takes 10 to 15 minutes and it searches the entire internet. And then on the side panel of ChatGPT, it references where it found that information and how it categorized and provided you with an answer. Here's where I found the info. There, I searched 27 resources. And when you click on that, it shows you what the resources are. And here's how I came to the conclusion to give you the answer that I gave you on the question that you asked me.
So I'm only going to throw this out there because this blew my mind. Like you said, in the early 90s, my grandfather, who worked at the Stardust, was interviewed on TV about the implosion. And I wanted to see that interview. I didn't find it. I was on Google, I was on everywhere else. And I remember seeing it on the news, right? But this is back like forever ago, 30 years ago. And I asked Chad, I said, this is my grandfather's name. He did this interview. Go find the video. And I only want the section he was in. It went through the UNLV library archives and found me every subscript of the video and sent me the links. So it was the most incredible thing ever, because you think, searching my memory back, I'd never find it. Like I'd never find it and never be able to go through that. It found it in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing. Wait, I mean, have you dove into tasks yet?
Act like I did.
Oh my God.
Tell me, what are tasks?
Wait, hold on. I'm still on number 5. Let's get to, because there were 7 things that you need. Let's do that. And then I'll get to the tasks stuff.
Easy for you today.
Then you have number 6, which is your specific requirements. Like, what's the specific tone in writing? What's the ideas that you want it to have? Do you want it to be in numerical bullets? Do you want it to have an order of priority? Do you want it to generate a table organizing information? Do you want it as PowerPoint? How do you want, like, what are the things that you're asking for it to do, right? In that way. And then number 7 is to ask it to interview you. Again, that was that one question I put in my settings. So my settings are automatically set to always interview me. It's a sparring partner. It's removing all the assumptions and saying, here, if you remove these assumptions, here's what you're saying, but you're also assuming that your audience knows this. Let's not do that. And let's now add this information to it, right? So it's providing me now, it'll ask me a bunch of questions and then I'll provide it with the answers. And now it can give me more of like a 95% to 99% exactly what I'm asking for it to do. So there's that. Let's talk about tasks. So
wait. So
I'm
one
sorry.
thing I had before we get to the task. No, one thing so thank you for sharing all this stuff because it changed my perspective on some things just during this conversation. Number one, I thought like Google and ChatGPT or AI was making us stupid, right? Because you don't have to think anymore. You can get answers to everything. But what you're demonstrating, what you're sharing here is it's actually making us smarter and how to communicate and actually get what we need. And the differentiator is, yes, everyone can have access to AI, but the people that actually spend the time to actually learn it and learn how to use it properly are going to stand out far above everyone else in this. So yes, in a way it levels the playing field, but in another way, it actually differentiates and sets you apart.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Imagine AI being like your backstage crew that's making sure that your spotlight like moment that you have runs flawlessly, right? And all you do is the shit that you're good at, right? Which is so you're automating the grind and you're getting out and shaking hands. You're doing the negotiations, you're connecting with people, you're going to coffee or happy hours or whatever. You're doing the connection piece as well. And it's teaching you how to actually ask better questions. It's teaching you how to communicate better with other people because just imagine like it's a brand new baby is what you're teaching a brand new baby how to live, how to survive, how to talk in real life and whatnot. So you're correct, and meaning that I'm correct. So we're all correct.
All right,
I love this podcast.
Because you're right.
Well, and the only charge that you really have, if you think about with AI, like you can buy the upgraded, and I recommend that you do. It's $20, $19 a month, whatever it is. And you can buy the upgrade. You get so much in deep research already when you do the $20. You get, I think, 10 or 20. I can't remember. I sometimes I reach it, sometimes I don't. But really, it's the cost of it is the $20 and your time. If you set it up right, you ask the right questions, and you provide it with enough information, the output that you get is going to truly help you automate what you're doing, which I've done. And I'm teaching the agents how to do the automation piece next week in my, with my team, just to be like, okay, because one of the biggest questions I get is what CRM are you using? I'm like, ChatGPT and Constant Contact. And I have them work hand in hand together. I don't need anything else. We talk about CRMs being like, it's that buzzword that everybody needs or wants, but doesn't really use. And I'm like, most CRMs are useless because we don't use them. However, I use ChatGPT every day and I use Constant Contact every single week, almost all the time. And I've got now them working together because I've created an agent that works hand in hand with them. I'm solid.
So you created an agent in ChatGPT or outside of that? Because I bought a bunch of agent employees, and it's
I don't know what the hell
cool.
you two are talking about. So can you explain what you're talking about?
It's really cool.
AI agents, what it does. So like you've got, we talk about like, okay, you have this system that does this, you have this system that does this, and you have this system that does this, but none of them talk to each other. So you have to put the information into here in order for it to get here. What an agent is that middle person that takes the information from here and puts it here without you, it automates it without you ever having to do it. So imagine doing stuff like that for like your calendar, for instance, or, there was an agent that recently posted about it, about how taking the CCSD calendar and actually uploading it right into ChatGPT and then having that uploaded right into the Google Calendar. Great. What if you created an agent that took it right from the website and put it right into your calendar without you ever having to go through middle ground. That's what an agent is.
So where do I buy agents? Like, I go to a site and I say I need an agent.
Yeah,
I'm a real estate agent.
there's sites for agents. So agents are like a little bit, they're like next level. And so like, what is it that you're doing? First, you have to figure out what is it that you're doing. So Brandon obviously bought a couple agents, which means that he needed something to tie one program to another. So what is it that you need to tie in? And then once you do that, you can figure out who to go to. There's actually a YouTube video about AI agents and how to find them, how to build them, what to do. So I have a friend of mine who, one of the guys that I geek out with, and I'm actually geeking out with him this Friday. And then we actually created like a group.
Calling it now.
I'm calling it geeking out. Yeah. So, but it's him and like a whole group of us are actually geeking out. So everybody like gets together and like, here's what I learned. Here's what I learned. Here's what I learned. Here's what I learned. Okay, great. Now and then I have another geek out session with like a bunch of other folks that we do online on Zoom once a month, and which is really cool too. But like you can decide, first of all, what is it that you need what systems do you need to communicate? And then you can create the agent. But you can go on YouTube and learn about what AI agents are. Again, it's a matter of retweaking. So what we've done, one of the guys that I geek out with, we created a project, and the project now holds, and projects are now new. They've got a new twist to them actually within the last month. They've gotten even better. But you can create a project within ChatGPT that holds the information only in the project. So let's say someone like you, who is for instance, Brandon, you are a leader with Nevada Association of Realtors. You're the president of the Nevada Association of Realtors. You are also the broker and owner of Signature Real Estate Group. You are also a coach. You are also so you've got these different titles. And so anytime you put anything into ChatGPT, it references all of that. Now you can create a project that's specific to just NVAR or NVR that says, hey, this project is specific to only this. Utilize only the information that's relevant to my president of NVR. That's it. That's all I want you. Like, do not look at any of the other data that I've provided you. Do not look at any of the other things that I'm looking at. Just this. And so that's what the project section will do. And so that's one of the ways that we created an AI agent. It's essentially like a project that now created a new Chat GPT that does the AI.
So you're just departmentalizing. You're departmentalizing a specific conversation. Got it.
And it's funny because there's so many different AIs. Like you've got Claude, you've got Perplexity, you've got Chat GPT. I haven't dived into Claude or Perplexity as much. I've done a few things in there, but I'm really focused on ChatGPT and how to use it, how to not to manipulate it, but manipulate it and really understand how do I become the lead or the resource for all things in real estate in Las Vegas? How do I become the lead for all things in coaching within the real estate community, things like that. And that's one of the reasons that I was actually provided an opportunity to get interviewed on AI for RRC. It's one of the ways that they wrote an article. They did a podcast with me about AI. So like in the article, it was just something very simple. And here's, things that you should know about AI, things that I'm using it for. And then we dived more into it in the podcast. So it's things like that I'm already doing that's caused people to be like, okay, wait a second. I want to learn more about that. Tell me more about that. And I've got people now asking me to teach classes. And that's now what caused me to create that Automate the Hustle course. So.
What's interesting is I've always felt that what made me personally, this personal statement, what made me a good agent was I had a great imagination. Like I could always find a way to get us there. Mm-hmm. And what I feel about ChatGPT and AI is that it's expanded my imagination to places that I never thought it would go. Brandon and I did a video just, I don't know, it was a week or two ago. And it was about, conquering the luxury market. Give me a 52-week plan to conquer the luxury market. And like, honestly, like there's nothing in the plan I haven't heard before. There was nothing in the plan that I haven't thought of. But it wasn't structured the way it was in my brain. It was structured to dominate in 52 weeks. And so it took all the jumbled imagination and put it into a flow. Whether it works or it doesn't wasn't the point. It's that it never came out of here in a flow that said, okay, let's do it this way. And I think that that's something that's really cool, just from the perspective of you sharing this info, has started my imagination going in another direction that it's like having a mini mastermind. Every time that there's a conversation piece or something you want to do, it puts it all together and organizes my thoughts. And I think the more it becomes me, the more screwed up it's going to get. But the whole point was like, it fixed my imagination phobia. Like it wasn't all in the right place.
Mhm. Yeah.
So did we cover tasks?
No.
No, we haven't even started about tasks. So, all right, let's talk about tasks.
I don't know that we have that kind of time.
All right.
We
All
do.
right. Well, save for later
We
then.
do.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Just kidding.
Hey, Vonda GPT, would you give me a brief overview of what a task is?
So with tasks, for instance, I can actually tell ChatGPT before I wake up, which is what I've done. Hey, before I wake up every single morning, and I'm up at 4:30. So by 3:30, I want you to do a full overview of what's happening within the real estate market specific to luxury. I give it all of this information, and I want you to email that information to me and then also do a push notification. And so I'll put that in ChatGPT and I'll say, create a task for me, create a task to do this. And before I wake up, it already has an update of the luxury real estate market here, specifically in Summerlin. And it has a potential blog post for me because that was one of the tasks that I asked for it to do. And again, all of this, whether I utilize it or not, what it's doing is it's saying, hey, Vandana is the specialist when it comes to luxury real estate, because here's the things that she understands or has learned or has put out or potentially put in as a blog or whatever. So it's automatically got that information. So I'm feeding it with what I want it to think that I am and who I am, whether I am or not, right? And now I've got these tasks. So like another task that I added to create, had it do is daily affirmations. Hey, every single morning before I wake up, and I did this as like an example in one of my classes, every single morning before I wake up, I want you to text me or push notifications, an affirmation that makes me feel blah, 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 whatever it may be, right? And so every morning I get one of those. I can create tasks for it to have it call my clients and say, so I can take the actual Excel document, upload it, and say, I want you to break this up within the next 1 year of contacting my clients. I want to be able to contact them every quarter. And in that quarter, I want to email them, call similar to what we talked about. And I want you to do a push notification at 9 a.m. and at 1 p.m. every single day with a different client's name, phone number, email address, or home address.
Okay, so you're putting that just right in chat,
Yeah.
and it's doing all that.
And I'm asking for it to be a daily task. So let me see. Let me pull the last one that I did. For instance, I'll give you the affirmation while I put my glasses on for this. So daily affirmation. So I did a very simple one just for, giggles. Add this to my to-do list. Daily affirmations. Remind me what a badass I am, both in personal and professional life at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every day, including weekends. Vary the affirmations from day to day, right? So like every day I will get some form of affirmation. It was, I lead with clarity for this one today. I lead with clarity and conviction. I set the standard, make clean decisions, and others rise because my results speak first. Like that was a daily affirmation that it sent me this morning at 5 a.m.
Wow. I got a lot of work to do, Chris. I thought I had this thing mastered, and now I feel like I'm the infant learning.
So with that thought process in mind, like we only have so much time, and we're up to 13 videos for this to really get it. Agents never been on chat. They've never touched or used it. In your perspective on what's the first couple of things they should do when they're just starting out with it?
Well, I think I've said this already, but it is essentially to do some settings, right? Answer some questions, do the 20 questions that I told you to do. Within those 20 questions, answer them in maybe a voice memo to ChatGPT so we can actually hear your tone, your voice. And as soon as you do that, so you almost killed two birds with one stone. As soon as you do that, now it's got some form of details around who you are. But start there. And I always use the analogy, I've been using this now for a couple of years, is that, we need to go where like when you're an ice hockey player, you go where the puck is going, not where it's been. And so it was Wayne Gretzky had done that quote. And it's the same for anything related to what's happening in our industry, whether it's the videos. Like I remember talking to an agent in our office who said, I refuse to do videos. I'm selling enough properties. I don't want to change anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, imagine if you did videos. You can duplicate who you are multiple times. You could get so much more work done because now you've duplicated yourself in video, right? He didn't understand that. Okay, great. Now it's the conversation of AI. Well, if you're not utilizing AI to help automate your hustle, then you're also missing out on, and you're looking to where the puck was, not where it's going.
Yeah,
so just keep that in mind. I think it's really important that we, that we as agents and brokers and team leaders or whatever, like we're up to date on stuff, like, because our clients are looking at all of this stuff. So if you're afraid of it, eventually this industry isn't going to last for you because our clients are already looking the stuff up.
Yeah, it's crazy. Vonita, thank you. You've given us a lot to think about. We're going to have you back. We're going to have to make this a regular segment. Maybe we'll even bring on some of your friends to geek out. I think it's been fun, and it's really got me thinking. So it might take a little bit before I get acclimated on this stuff, and I know where your office is, so hopefully you'll help me set some of this stuff up. But I've heard great things about your CE class, and so if you're an agent in Vegas and you haven't been through it, watch for it because I think it's pretty amazing, the stuff that she's putting out there and the learning curve that you've been on. And you're right. When you put your mind to stuff, you go all in, and you definitely have here. So any final thoughts, Chris?
Every time I have a meeting with Vonita or you, I come across with like, crap, I'm not doing any of this stuff. I need to get back on the wheel. And what I love about Vonita is you can't say it's not working. Like, you have a high level of production. You are living the life that you've set out to have. And I notice you're very consistent. Like, I don't read all of your posts, but damn, there's a lot of them. And the point is, you're always in front of it. You're always out there making it happen. And I don't know how someone's 10 days in Tokyo and having more posts than I have in the last year. It's obviously working, right? Because you're present in your business, you're making it happen. So I think that that's the thing I noticed from you is consistency, and you've leveled up dramatically from just even 6 months ago.
Can I add one final thought real quick?
Yes.
No, you can't stop me. So what I want to say is that consistency is key. In fact, every time I listen to the podcast, every single person that you've had on in some way, shape, or form talks about the consistency piece, right? I tell agents all the time, look, when you drop the ball and you stop working in real estate, guess what? You got to start all over again. But if you stay at this consistent pattern, it will eventually, work in your favor. And there is never a bad video. And here's why. There's never a bad video. There's never a bad post. I mean, yeah, there's probably some that you don't get engagement on. I taught a class one time, and this guy who is very big on YouTube, and he always had like thousands of people liking his YouTube videos. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And he was really he was concerned about it. And I'm like, okay, I understand that you're not necessarily making money because, not making money, that you're not getting all of these likes on your YouTube videos. But are you selling homes? And he said, yeah. Are your clients seeing that you're consistently present? Yeah. Okay, that's what matters. Stop worrying about how many likes you get. Stop worrying about how many people are commenting. Because I feel like we've gotten into that system where people are so worried about, oh, I have this many followers, or I have this many likes, or I don't really care. I have thousands of followers. I have very low engagement, but I'm selling houses. So I don't really give a shit what you say, right? It doesn't matter. I'm also getting paid for my content from Instagram, from Facebook, from YouTube. I'm getting paid for my content because I'm consistent about it. So it doesn't matter to me.
Love it.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you again, and thank you for listening to the Signature Buzz. And remember, we're always affirming your success.